He is the third-generation heir of a Chaebol family, yet he is oddly afraid of a little secretary. Even if she has changed her appearance, he can recognize her instantly, just from the sound of her footsteps. The moment he hears that the little secretary is about to come in, he panics so badly that he tumbles off the bed and ends up getting bitten as well. As the heir to the nation's largest conglomerate, Tae-ri-sip has never been this miserable in his life. He hasn't even had time to pull up his pants properly before the door is opened. "Good morning, executive director." After many years, the two reunite in the most awkward way possible. The little secretary pretends she saw nothing and shuts the door with a snap, leaving behind only the man screaming in humiliation. A few minutes later, Tae-ri-sip finally comes out. He starts acting stubborn, saying he is not ready at all and insisting on going on strike. But Kang Min-kyung seems to be someone born specifically to handle him. His clothes have already been dry cleaned, and breakfast has been delivered, and everything is exactly to his taste. Even his schedule is completely packed. He has been back in the country for less than a day, and he is already being dragged off to work like a beast of burden. Tae-ri-sip completely loses it. A secretary should do a secretary's job. Why are you in my house? This is my private space. I'm more casual at home. What if I had been naked like just now? Would you have taken responsibility? Is it because I'm a woman, so you feel uncomfortable? Tae-ri-sip is stunned for a moment, then bursts out laughing. Are you asking if I feel uncomfortable because you're a woman? Are you crazy? There's no way I'd feel uncomfortable because of you. The little secretary smiles. Then I must have misunderstood. That's a relief. There are 10 minutes left before departure. A normal wash-up probably won't be possible in time. We already expected this, so we prepared wet towels in advance. Then let's begin now. Tae-ri-sip once again feels just how terrifying she is. He gives in. I'll be out in 5 minutes. In his eyes, Kang Min-kyung is no different from before. Her long hair casually tied up, her outdated glasses, and her basic two-piece business suit. She has been the same for 10 years. In a way, that is impressive too. She has barely changed at all from when they first met. Tae-ri-sip has stood at the top of the pyramid since birth and has been called a genius all his life, but that was actually the result of his desperate efforts in order to make himself worthy of being the group's heir. Yet when he entered Company 8 at the same time as her, he became the eternal second place. Tae-ri-sip's pride was deeply wounded by her, and today, she has once again been assigned by the family to be his secretary. When Tae-ri-sip finishes drying his hair, only 5 minutes have passed, and that woman appears. Director Kang Min-kyung. I don't like overly clingy secretaries. I will do my best to satisfy you. No, I'm not finished yet. Actually, I'm very good at pretending. So even when facing someone I truly dislike, I can act as if nothing is wrong and endure it. But right now, no matter what, I can't endure it anymore. Director Kang, I really dislike you. Ever since the first day I entered the institute, from the moment you were assigned to the same department as me, I have disliked you all along, so you should just give up on being my secretary. Kang Min-kyung freezes on the spot. She grips her tablet tightly, still wearing that robotic smile. Executive Director Tae-ri-sip, you're already 7 minutes behind schedule, so we should leave as soon as possible. He has already made himself this clear. Yet this woman still shows no change at all. Tae-ri-sip covers his face and lets out a sigh. He puts on his coat and can only set off first. Kang Min-kyung looks at the man's back. You dislike me that much? Good, because I also started disliking you. From the very first time I saw you 10 years ago, the Crown Prince of TK, you are nothing more than a childish Chaebol brat. She has worked desperately hard for a full 10 years, and with astonishing self-discipline and outstanding workability, she became a deputy director. Yet she was still assigned to be his secretary, only because the main family wanted to pull the young master, who had recently suddenly started slacking off, back to where he originally belonged. But Kang Min-kyung has one big problem. Even if Tae-ri-sip looks completely listless, no matter how you look at it, that face is exactly her type. That conservative and rigid former colleague, after taking off his glasses, seems like a completely different person. But aside from his childhood playmate, absolutely no one in the company knows. She successfully drags the runaway second-generation young master back to work. And although the method is awkward to the extreme, Kang Min-kyung has to admit that Tae-ri-sip's face is just way too handsome. She cannot keep thinking about this. Snap out of it, even if it is for her family. No matter what, she has to make Tae-ri-sip satisfied with her. A week ago, Chairman Tae personally summoned her and asked her to become Tae-ri-sip's accompanying secretary. Kang Min-kyung was utterly unwilling in her heart. She had just been about to politely refuse when she heard the chairman mention her younger brothers. I heard they are rising stars in the winter events. I think they must be just as outstanding as you are. So this is the exchange condition the department had mentioned. Her twin younger brothers, who were being sponsored as athletes, were also leverage she simply could not refuse. And the chairman's gaze was practically like that of a beast, warning her that she had to do the job well. Her younger brothers would no longer have to worry about money, and Kang Min-kyung would also be able to focus more on training. That could not have been better. And so, She began her first day as Tae-ri-sip's accompanying secretary. Tae-ri-sip makes his grandfather beam with delight. Compared to how she had seen him before, he is practically like a completely different person. Probably the only person who can get along with a chairman like this is him. By the way, Director Kong. She is suddenly called by name. Are you taking your work seriously? Today is my first day on the job, so there are still many shortcomings. I was a little late today. I will be more careful next time. Kong Min-kyung is unusually nervous. Tae-ri-sip notices it. What is wrong with her? She is completely different from how she was just now. But the chairman does not let her off easily. I have high expectations for you. It is my honor. I hope you will not disappoint me. This side of her makes Tae-ri-sip feel very unaccustomed. Ri-sip, come by more often from now on, and while you're at it, give a brief report on the trading division. You are the pillar of TK trading, so the best talent must be assigned to assist you. There truly is no one more outstanding than Director Kong. But Grandpa, no matter what, making Director Kong my secretary. Kong Min-kyung immediately senses that something is wrong and cannot let him continue speaking. She does not want to be fired on her very first day. Tae-ri-sip looks at her in confusion. Even through the glasses, her pleading gaze is obvious. That makes him pause slightly. Then he changes his words. It is indeed a bit of a waste of talent. The woman beside him starts coughing violently. The chairman asks, so? What I mean is, thank you very much for assigning Director Kong as my accompanying secretary. It is not until the sky begins to darken that she finally returns home. The moment she opens the door, she sees her younger brothers throwing themselves at her and demanding a loving hug. Her roommate is preparing a grand meal to celebrate the two brothers receiving TK's sponsorship. Go take a shower. I'll cook. In the blink of an eye, the younger brothers surround the roommate and start fawning over him, looking at the three of them getting along happily. Sure enough, people are not entirely wrong when they say raising kids is pointless. After she finishes washing up and comes out, she sees her roommate looking delighted because his older brother has returned to the country. Min Jae-young. The man speaks with a smile. Long time no see. The boy next door has returned home. The first thing he does upon meeting her is pat her on the head. Even after all these years, you haven't changed at all. She is as close as family with this brother and sister pair and lives in the same neighborhood as them. Because she skipped grades, she got into the nation's top university very early. So she hardly had any friends her own age. Seiya and Hyun-sung are the most important people to her. Especially Hyun-sung, who attended the same school as her, has helped her a great deal. Hyun-sung has been rehired and brought back to the country, and has also just joined TK Trading's legal department. Speaking of this, Seiya immediately starts gossiping about Tae-ri-sip. Everyone knows he is the only grandson of the country's leading corporation, and from childhood, he was designated as the heir. And he also has doll-like, delicate features, so he grew up under the public spotlight, practically no different from a celebrity. But this also caused his private life to be excessively invaded. After growing up, he suddenly vanished from the media. Seiya looks excited and keeps shaking Min Jae-young by the shoulders. This third-generation Chaebol heir is so handsome. Don't you feel anything at all? Helping him is basically the same as getting on the express elevator to a promotion, isn't it? Min Jae-young looks as if life has lost all meaning. Promotion? She is practically about to be fired. Why? Because Tae-ri-sip really hates me. He said he disliked me from the first day he saw me at the training institute, and I also disliked him back then. We cannot stand each other, yet we still have to work together. If that's the case, you must have been under a lot of stress lately. It is indeed exhausting, but I am also getting corresponding rewards. Hyun-sung stands up and walks behind her. Although making money is important, health is the most important thing. You know that, right? Compared with Hyun-sung, if only her boss could be half as considerate as he is. Just as she is saying this, a message from that very person comes in. The moment Kong Min-kyung sees this outrageous request, her anger flares up at once. On the second day of work, Tae-ri-sip starts nitpicking in every possible way. He deliberately changes the entryway password, making her late by a full 30 minutes, and pretends he does not remember it. While Kong Min-kyung is giving a work report, he says his mind is not awake yet. She takes out coffee, but the man looks disgusted again, saying he only drinks coffee beans from a certain origin and wants nothing else. He tells her to pour the coffee away. Without coffee, Tae-ri-sip starts getting sleepy again, saying he wants to keep sleeping. She helplessly brings up the department head, but unexpectedly insists that he must go see him. Unexpectedly, that instead makes Tae-ri-sip even more unwilling to go. On her second day as a secretary, Kong Min-kyung experiences for the first time in her 10-year career the limit of patience she has never known before. After finally arriving at the company, Kong Min-kyung starts reporting the tasks, but runs into another problem because everything in Tae-ri-sip's hands consists of TK's worst-performing companies and projects on the verge of collapse. This leaves the man full of resentment. He has worked hard for so many years, yet the moment Tae-jun returns, he takes away all the profitable businesses, leaving him only a pile of troubled projects. He already hated working to begin with, and now he has absolutely no desire to work at all. Watching Tae-ri sip, rant in frustration, Kang Min-kyung only feels that everything is completely doomed. He has absolutely no intention of working. Back at the training institute, where did that ambitious Tae-ri sip go? Although he wore a sour expression even back then, at least he had drive. The Tae-ri sip of the past was dazzling to the point that no one could possibly ignore him. The Tae-ri sip of that time really was a genuine crown prince. But how did he become like this now? Hey, Kang Min-kyung, were you just thinking that you're completely doomed? She hurriedly denies it. No, not at all. Damn. I forgot to control my expression just now. What do you mean, not at all? Such an outstanding director. Kang actually got on my broken ship, Tae-ri sip's broken ship. What should we do? That's not it. I truly feel that it is my honor to assist you in your work. Tae-ri sip suddenly stands up and walks toward her, then stops right in front of her and stares at her for a long time. Your lips are so dry, and without even taking a sip of water to moisten them, you are in such a hurry to tell this kind of outrageous lie. Don't do this again in the future. Tae-ri sip, after turning away, does not see that his reckless sudden approach just now has already made Kang Min-kyung's entire face flush bright red. This is bad. Will she really be able to endure this in the future? Tae-ri sip, who has never lost, just happens to lose to one girl, and from then on carves her into his very bones. Even his ever-picky grandfather looks at her differently, and even tells his grandson to pay attention to her and see whether she is worth cultivating and entrusting. But Tae-ri sip does not want to place his attention on her. In everyone's eyes, he has always been nearly perfect, and this kind of thing has long since become commonplace to him. As long as he shows a smile, the other person usually blushes and runs away immediately. They clearly care that much about him, yet do not even dare look him in the eye. But for the sake of the family, he must maintain his image at all times. He cannot show irritation, nor can he reveal annoyance, until he meets Kang Min-kyung. When the sunset falls and the afterglow spreads across the end of the corridor, she seems to walk out from the light itself. In that person's gaze as she looks at him, there is not a trace of unnecessary emotion mixed in. Tae-ri sip nods at her, and she returns a smile, not only without avoiding his gaze, but instead looks straight back at him. Tae-ri sip, encountering such a situation for the first time, unexpectedly feels a burst of displeasure in his heart. After waking with a start, he realizes it was only a dream. Why would he dream about Kang Min-kyung? The very next second, the person herself suddenly knocks and barges in. I brought the documents that need your approval. Hey, I didn't tell you to come in. Halfway through the sentence, he suddenly stops. Once again, he sees the girl from 10 years ago. You seem to be resting, so I couldn't just keep waiting. This is the resort development report. Tae-ri sip flips through it impatiently. For such simple business, why even make a report? But what is going on here? She has actually made this report so perfectly. That's enough. No matter how hard you work, you won't get any benefit from it. No one will know anyway. The company won't stop functioning just because I'm missing. That's not true. You are an indispensable core figure of TK Trading. All the employees know how much effort you have put in for TK Group over these 10 years. And I also want to say again that it is my honor to assist you in your work. Tae-ri sip put away his flippant expression. Avoiding her gaze, he said, got it. You can go out now. I'll review the report. The man across from him looked delighted. I finally get to see you. Didn't you say you weren't working anymore? The moment you came back, those higher-ups were all excitedly praising you for being reliable. I wasn't working. Kang Min-kyung did it all. Really? Then I was right to place her by your side. What reason did you use to transfer her away? Don't tell me you got hold of some leverage on her? You should know better than I do that having her work as a secretary is a waste of her talent. Don't you already know the reason? You've been investigating everywhere these past few days, and you even gave the PR director a proper scolding. Tae-ri sip's expression darkened. Kang Min-kyung's younger brother was a speed skater at Minjae University. Judging by his results alone, it was still somewhat of a stretch for him to receive TK's sponsorship. Even after things had come this far, Tae-jun still refused to admit it. We saw their potential, and that's why we decided to sponsor them. Oh, is that so? You actually used such a despicable method to force her into becoming my secretary. Yes, because you threw your work aside and ran off overseas. After all, only someone as capable as her could fill the gap you left behind. In just a few short days, Tae-ri sip had uncovered the whole truth. Everything Kang Min-kyung had suffered filled him with a kind of anger he had never felt before. Tae-jun suddenly said, could it be that after learning about Director Kang's situation, you've started to care about her? Tae-ri sip froze. How could that be? It's just that after Kang Min-kyung caught him, that look in her eyes, as if she were pleading, had only made him feel a little uneasy. That was all. Every step her high heels took felt like it was treading on his chest. The man's heartbeat suddenly lost its rhythm. That sound of footsteps. Was that Kang Min-kyung? But the beautiful young woman before him felt unfamiliar. Was he going crazy? There was no way Kang Min-kyung would be here just 3 days earlier, because Seiya's favorite idol was about to begin military service. Their final concert happened to clash with the time of her blind date. She asked Min Jae-young to go on the blind date in her place, just to help her get through it. Kang Min-kyung had no choice but to agree. Then her older brother had accidentally praised praised Se-ye's blind date partner by saying his younger sister was fashionable and cute. But those two words did not suit Min Jae-young at all. Embarrassed, his younger sister shooed him away. The grand makeover operation for Min Jae-young began. As a fashion editor, this was hardly a problem for her. On top of that, Kang Min-kyung already had a good foundation, so once her glasses were removed, a light touch of makeup was applied, and her hair was styled. She looked like a completely different person, but none of them had expected to run into Tae-ri-seop at the hotel where the blind date was held. The meeting place had been set at the famous M Hotel, and by sheer coincidence, Tae-ri-seop's class reunion was there too. The two of them passed by each other, one heading for the bar, the other walking toward the restaurant, yet neither of them saw the other. The son of the director of J Hospital, her blind date nervously scratched his head. "I heard you were very cute, so I thought you'd be the petite type. I didn't expect you to be this tall and this beautiful." Kang Min-kyung felt uncomfortable all over. The man across from her kept trying to make conversation, but she felt so awkward she could barely eat. Se-ye had said she only had to last 1 hour, and now there were only 10 minutes left. But at that moment, the blind date suddenly invited her to the bar, because the bar on the top floor of the hotel was famous, and also offered a view of the night scenery. Kang Min-kyung refused, saying she had to get up early for work the next day. But she did not leave. Se-ye had given her a hotel stay voucher, and in a place this beautiful, she wanted to stay and look around too. The past few months had been so exhausting. She deserved to reward herself properly. Meanwhile, Tae-ri-seop was drinking with his friends, and once again, after being single for 30 years, he was being pressured to date. The young master of a top Chaebol family was unbelievably someone who had been single since birth. Because of that, he got mocked at every gathering, his ears filled with teasing remarks. He could only drink in silence, when suddenly he heard a familiar sound of footsteps, the crisp clicking of high heels. It was the nightmare that had tormented his work for months. It was practically carved into his DNA. Tae-ri-seop looked up. It was a very beautiful woman, and for a moment, he was too stunned to look away. The woman walked past him, not Kang Min-kyung, yet with footsteps exactly like hers. He really had gone crazy. There was no way Kang Min-kyung would be here. Thinking that, he sent Min Jae-young a message. At the exact moment the message was sent, Tae-ri-seop watched as the person in front of him took a phone out of her bag, his face filled with shock, because he recognized at once that the decoration on the woman's phone was the same as Kang Min-kyung's. The one he had once complained was too ugly. Then immediately after, he received a reply. Could she really be Kang Min-kyung? "Hey, why do you look like your soul just left your body?" Tae-ri-seop came back to his senses. "What? Oh, stop pretending. Ever since just now, you've been staring at that girl the whole time. She's really pretty. She looks like a model." Re-sip. "So that's your type?" Min Jae-young, who had been enjoying the night view, was suddenly harassed. The drunken little secretary had completely let herself go, not even noticing that she had nearly exposed herself. Tae-ri-seop was on the verge of exploding on the spot. After going on a blind date for her friend, Min Jae-young sat alone at the rooftop bar enjoying the night view, only to be targeted once again. And her boss saw all of it. The blind date man appeared again and greeted her enthusiastically. "So you ordered alcohol too?" Without even waiting for the girl to respond, he familiarly sat down across from her and started chattering non-stop. Tae-ri-seop stared at the two of them without blinking. Min Jae-young's reaction did not look like someone facing her boyfriend. The blind date man picked up the drink menu and quickly ordered several more drinks. But Kang Min-kyung's alcohol tolerance was clearly only 1 glass. The man enthusiastically invited her to clink glasses. "Actually, I've read all of your columns." He not only had a very favorable impression of Min Jae-young, he had even already imagined their married life. Min Jae-young had no other choice but to hurry and drink so she could send him away. And besides, he was far too talkative. At that moment, Hyun-sung called, worried about his younger sister. He called to ask how the blind date was going and said he was nearby and getting ready to come over. The moment Min Jae-young heard that Hyun-sung was coming, she panicked. He absolutely could not find out. There was only 1 last glass left. Once she finished it, she would leave immediately. But it seemed she was already done for. Her vision had started doubling. She wanted to leave, but the blind date man kept clinging to her. Hyun-sung said he's coming to pick you up, so you should just sit here and wait for him. Min Jae-young instinctively resisted. She tried to avoid him, but was trapped there by his persistence. "Hey, she already said she doesn't want to, so why are you still grabbing her and refusing to let go?" The moment the blind date man saw the fierce look on the newcomer's face, he immediately let go. "It's all a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding? What misunderstanding?" Kang Min-kyung's consciousness was hazy, and she only felt that the newcomer's voice sounded familiar. But she could not see clearly, and she also felt stuffy and nauseous, so she undid the buttons of her suit. Tae-ri-seop took off his trench coat and, using his height to full advantage, stared the other man down with overwhelming pressure. "I saw everything just now. She was clearly sitting there drinking alone. You were the one who insisted on sitting with her and kept making her drink. What exactly are you trying to do?" The blind date man hurriedly fumbled around. "I'm not that kind of person. I'll give you my business card." Min Jae-young could not even stand properly and happened to stumble right into Tae-ri-seop's arms. She raised her head, her cheeks flushed, her eyes softened by intoxication, but at last she saw clearly. Executive Director Tae-ri-sip? The man's eyes widened abruptly, and from his angle he saw something he should not have seen. In an instant, his whole face flushed red, and he quickly turned his head away. He held the trench coat up in front of Min Jae-young, and even his speech became stammering. Why you should put this on first? Min Jae-young was dizzy and dazed. She did not understand why Tae-ri-sip was here too. She looked around blankly. Where did the report materials go? Was work the only thing in this woman's head? And she was already drunk like this. Hey, just how much did you make her drink? The blind date man hurriedly took out his business card, trying to prove he was not a bad person. I'm the person who was on a blind date with her today. More importantly, why are you always interfering in other people's business? The moment he heard that Kang Min-kyung was on a blind date, Tae-ri-sip's temper flared, and he snatched the business card away. I'm Kang Min-kyung's coworker. Seeing his little secretary being harassed by a man, this Chaebol heir was completely enraged. But she had only come on the blind date in place of her best friend, and she absolutely could not let that be exposed. So she anxiously tried to explain, but because her movement was too large, the clothing covering her body slipped off. Tae-ri-sip simply did not know what to do with her. He was really going crazy. Kang Min-kyung, can you wake up a little? But unexpectedly, the moment he looked up, he saw a sight that made his brain crash on the spot. The person in front of him was completely unaware and even happily handed the clothing to him. Tae-ri-sip was utterly dumbfounded. His face instantly turned bright red, and he froze in place until Min Jae-young stood up. Even his tongue was nearly tied in knots. Kang Min-kyung, sober up. I saw everything, okay? How could she drink this much? Doesn't she know there are a lot of bad people in this world? The blind date man suddenly shouted. Hey, who is Kang Min-kyung? Whose coworker are you exactly? Kang Min-kyung was Se-ye's best friend. At that moment, Hyun-sung arrived. The blind date man walked toward him. What exactly is going on here? While supporting Min Jae-young, Tae-ri-sip suddenly had a bad feeling. What's going on? Who was that man? After explaining things to the blind date man, Hyun-sung walked toward the two of them. You must be Executive Director Tae-ri-sip, right? I'm truly sorry for troubling you. I'm Lee Hyun-sung, and I've just become legal counsel for TK Trading. Min Jae-young did not hear clearly what he said, but her vision slowly became clearer. She recognized Hyun-sung and panicked. If he found out, Se-ye would definitely be in a very difficult position. She hid behind Tae-ri-sip. Not only that, she also grabbed his hand tightly. What was she doing now? Could it be that, just like last time, it was because she was nervous? Was that why she was acting like this? Executive Director, Min Jae-young seems to be very drunk already, so I'll take her home. Tae-ri-sip shielded Min Jae-young behind him. Wait, she's my subordinate. I can't hand her over to a stranger. What is your relationship with Kang Min-kyung? I'm like an older brother who's very close to her. We grew up together, so you don't need to worry. As he said that, he extended his hand toward her. Min Jae-young, come here. It's okay. I won't tell Se-ye. You who can't even drink, just how much did you have? Only then did Kang Min-kyung slowly relax. She tilted her head up, and perhaps because the alcohol had truly hit her, there was even a trace of coquettishness in her tone. 3 glasses in a row, maybe? And a little champagne. Appa, are you going to scold me? Tae-ri-sip found it somewhat unbelievable. She could actually show that kind of expression too. Hyun-sung supported Min Jae-young and prepared to say goodbye to him. Oh, right, this is your coat, isn't it? Min Jae-young, you should return the coat to Executive Director Tae. Just as the coat had only been taken off halfway, Tae-ri-sip suddenly stepped forward. He pulled the coat back again and, starting from the collar, carefully fastened the buttons one by one, then the second, then the third, until he bent down and fastened the very last button at the bottom hem. Kang Min-kyung, remember to bring the coat tomorrow. The smile on Hyun-sung's face gradually faded. He stepped forward, held the girl by the shoulders, and thanked Tae-ri-sip. Then he pulled Min Jae-young into his arms. Let's go. I'll take you home. No matter how slow Tae-ri-sip might be, he could still sense something unusual in him. That was not the attitude an ordinary older brother would have. Kang Min-kyung suddenly broke into a silly smile. I'm not going home. I'm sleeping here tonight and relaxing. What floor am I staying on again? It's okay. I'll know once I get in the elevator. Hyun-sung coaxed her softly. All right, I'll take you to your room. The moment he heard they were going to a hotel room, Tae-ri-sip's expression changed instantly. He grabbed Hyun-sung. Hey, you're probably not her boyfriend, are you? Then why are you taking her to a room? That's way too strange. Hyun-sung smiled provocatively. Then it doesn't seem very appropriate for you, Executive Director, to take her either. After all, there shouldn't be any relationship at all between you and her. Even after waking up the next day, Tae-ri-sip was still wondering whether last night had only been a dream. Had he really seen Director Kang? Even while washing up, he stood in front of the sink in a daze, his mind turning it over again and again. After the two of them left, What would happen? Would she bring that older brother she mentioned into the hotel room? Thinking of what the man had said before leaving. Yes, that was never something he should have been worrying about in the first place. But it was only after seeing his little secretary that his suspended heart was finally able to settle down. Kang Min-kyung looked to be in good condition, so it seemed she had slept well last night and had not suffered from a hangover. Moreover, she did not seem the slightest bit uncomfortable when facing him. Tae-ri-sip's mood became even more complicated. He did not want to see Kang Min-kyung's face, nor did he want to hear her voice. He was irritated for no reason at all. Why was he always so concerned about her? Even during lunch break, Tae-ri-sip seemed listless. The little secretary had already prepared lunch. He said he had no appetite, and even had her cancel his schedule as well. But what he did not know was that although Kang Min-kyung looked calm on the surface, she was actually so nervous. She was about to lose her mind. What exactly had she done last night? Should she keep pretending she remembered nothing? Or should she take the initiative to apologize to Executive Director Tae? And she could feel that Tae-ri-sip was especially cold toward her today. It was simply too embarrassing. For someone with no dating experience, even if they have already fallen for someone, perhaps they themselves may not even realize it. Tae-ri-sip got into the car and told driver Kim to just drive anywhere. Watching the scenery sweep past outside the window, he let out a soft sigh. Shall I take you to the riverside? Going somewhere more open to get some fresh air should make you feel a bit better. What? Do I look like I'm in that bad a state? It's because whenever you have complicated thoughts, you always call for me. So I was thinking about where might help you clear your mind a little. Oh, right, Director Kang told me this too. She said that if you want to empty your mind, jogging by the river is the best thing. Kang Min-kyung exercises too. Director Kang said exercise is what she enjoys. She also said that every time she runs at least 10 kilometers. Tae-ri-sip hadn't expected that. Despite being so busy, she would still make time to exercise. No wonder she was like that. He thought of last night again. His face instantly turned red. Feeling guilty, he raised his voice and told driver Kim to be quiet. By evening, he returned to the main house. His younger sister, Tae Soo-jin, and Tae-jun happened to be there too. Aren't you the one who's always making all kinds of excuses not to come back? Tae Soo-jin, you make it sound like I'm the only one who doesn't come. Why don't you first ask him why he came to Songbekji too? I came because I'm preparing to get engaged to Young, and I stopped by to see the chairman while I was at it. His younger sister let out a delighted scream right away. Engaged? As expected of brother Jun-sip. That's seriously so cool. Tae-ri-sip looked speechless. How is that cool at all? Compared to that, I would choose my own woman. How can there be someone in this world so romantic? Hey, Tae-ri-sip said sarcastically. Oh wow, truly a once-in-a-century hopeless romantic. Brother Ri-sip, all you've known your whole life is work, and even now you've never dated anyone. What are we going to do? I'm getting anxious for you. Tae Soo-jin, did you come here today just to annoy me? Oh come on, I'm only worried about you. Forget it. I'm going out for some air. But before he had taken more than a few steps, he suddenly changed his mind again. Tae-jun, come out. I have something to say to you. The two of them went together to the backyard. It really is a bit hot today. Tae-jun twisted open a bottle of water. Tilting his head back, he poured it straight down. Droplets of water slid all the way down from the corner of his mouth. Tae-ri-sip looked utterly speechless, especially when he saw the water run directly into his turtleneck. He even started to regret calling Tae-jun out just now. After finishing the water, the man even struck a pose. What an ignorant fool. Doesn't his throat hurt? What was it Soo-jin said? Drinking water like that makes girls think it looks cool. Are you crazy? But anyway, for the mighty executive director Tae-ri-sip to actually ask me out here for a chat, I have something to tell you. That director Kang Min-kyung, send her back to your team. That won't do. You're refusing me outright without even asking the reason? We've already filled the vacancy on our side with an excellent employee. Isn't she doing quite well by your side? You shouldn't have any reason to send her back. Don't you know as well? Having her work as my secretary is somewhat a waste of her talent, isn't it? Of course I know. Wasn't that also why you kept her by your side and had her work for you before? Could it be? Did something happen between you and Director Kang? He has a face that looks like he'd be a player, but in reality, he's a pure-hearted romantic warrior. He preserved his chastity for 30 years. The only time he ever had contact with a woman, it even got photographed by paparazzi. So, when his younger sister came knocking on his door early in the morning, he was still completely dazed. His sister wore a mischievous grin, and the news headline was especially eye-catching. His hair was a mess, and he clearly looked like he hadn't fully woken up. What on earth is going on here? His sister held up her phone and shoved it right in front of his face. TK Group's eldest grandson behaves intimately with a mysterious woman. Executive Director Tae-ri-sip, whose private life is extremely low profile. Last week, he was photographed embracing a woman. It instantly drew widespread attention. So, who exactly is this person? Seeing that her brother kept hemming and hawing and refused to say, fine. Then let me guess. This is Director Kang Min-kyung, isn't it? H, how do you know? I don't know. I was just guessing. I never thought I'd live to see my brother holding a woman. Usually, if you so much as have a little physical contact with someone, you make a huge fuss. My God, it's honestly hard to believe. Is this the beginning of an office romance? No, there's a reason behind this. Brother, You should really try experiencing romance too. Romance, ambiguity, and all kinds of emotional experiences. Don't you want to date? No. Stay away from me. Could it be that you want a political marriage? To reconcile the TK group and the Choi family. To reconcile the TK group and the Choi family and then become the true heir. Is that why you've been preserving your chastity all this time? He was about to be driven insane by his younger sister. It's not like that. Seriously. I have no intention of entering a political marriage, but I also don't want to date just anyone. I want to be with someone who makes me fall in love at first sight. Looking at her brother's shy expression, his younger sister burst out laughing. Oh my god. The purest man of this era is actually in my house. I seriously can't with you. Tae Soo-jin. Looks like I've spoiled you too much. Hand over the card I gave you. No way, brother. But I will sincerely root for your love life. Thanks for the card, brother. His younger sister ran off at top speed, leaving Tae-sip alone in place. So furious, he was almost ascending to heaven. But the next second, he lowered his head and raised a hand to cover his face. When he looked up again, his face was red all the way down to his neck. Clearly, there was already someone on his mind. And that person, at this moment, was bowing to him at a full 90 degrees and apologizing. Because my private life caused you tremendous loss, I once again offer you my sincere apology. Tae-sip actually didn't care, although it really did cause a bit of news. But this also happened because I interfered in your private life without authorization, so there's no need for you to apologize like this. How could this possibly be your fault? As your secretary, I failed to prevent this kind of absurd and maliciously fabricated low-grade report. This was my dereliction of duty. From now on, I will definitely handle my own responsibilities properly. I will never allow your prestige to be damaged because of this. For a moment, Tae-sip didn't even know what to say. In his view, this was nothing at all, and he truly couldn't understand whether she really needed to bow her head and apologize like this, attributing everything to her own failure. Then again, yes, to Kang Min-kyung. This was nothing more than work she was supposed to handle properly. What exactly was he still hoping for? The emotionally dejected man hadn't expected that just as he stepped out of the company's main entrance, he would be surrounded by paparazzi. And because of the stimulation of the camera flashes, he fell into that painful memory. He couldn't even stop himself from vomiting on the spot. The pure-hearted man is in love for the first time from afar. Even within 4 drip hanging from him, he still sneaks looks at her. But in the little secretary's eyes, he is still only work. The man had just stepped out of the company's main entrance. Because of the camera flashes, he instantly had a stress reaction. Kang Min-kyung panicked. Could it be that his panic disorder was acting up? And just at that moment, suddenly, a car stopped in front of them. Assistant manager Kim came to save the day. Min Jae-yeon quickly helped Tae-sip into the car. Even after leaving that place, he still hadn't recovered. He had even gripped the seat hard enough to leave deep finger marks in it. Executive Director, please breathe slowly and deeply. Tae-sip was like a fish stranded on the shore. He desperately gasped for air, but the suffocating sensation still swept through his whole body, and he could no longer hear clearly what Kang Min-kyung was shouting. The next second, he completely passed out. His whole body looked as if it had been soaked through with water, and there were still tear marks at the corners of his eyes. You are TK's master. The whole world is watching you. You must always maintain proper composure. You absolutely cannot show even the slightest bit of slackness. You must remember that you are not only the face of TK, you are also TK's future. Finally, one day, unable to bear the pressure any longer, he collapsed beneath the flashing lights. Wake up. The man abruptly opened his eyes. Is this a hospital? It seemed he really had fainted. He had thought he was already completely better. Then he remembered the moment before he collapsed. That disheveled side of himself had actually been seen by Kang Min-kyung. Then he looked at the person sleeping on the sofa. Had she stayed here the whole time without leaving? At this hour, she must be tired too. Kang Min-kyung was not sleeping soundly, as if she had sensed something. She suddenly opened her eyes. The two of them looked into each other's eyes. You still can't get up yet. No need, I'm fine. No, please sit down. You should go home first. You must be tired too. It was my responsibility for not confirming your physical condition in advance, and I chose to stay here of my own will. Lately, you also haven't been eating on time. Tae-sip defended himself in a low voice. I'm not a child, but he was mercilessly dismissed. She brought over food suitable for a patient. Although it may not suit your taste, for the sake of your health, you still need to finish it. Everything from today has already been taken care of. It absolutely won't leak out, so don't worry. He was somewhat unaccustomed to seeing Kang Min-kyung like this. Suddenly, the sound of a stomach growling came. Tae-sip's heavy mood from just moments ago instantly lightened, and he laughed out loud. You should hurry and go buy yourself a meal too. If you don't eat, then I won't eat either. Perhaps because of that dream, he was especially talkative today. I used to think you were a robot. I didn't expect you to have such an ordinary side too. The first time I fainted was when I had just turned 19. My father was rather strict and demanded from childhood that I always remain perfect. I couldn't show even the slightest sign of letting up because reporters were always following me, trying to dig up some explosive story. So my father required me to be extremely careful with every word and action. I lived every day in tension. After all, I couldn't let my own words and actions cause losses to the group. Those reporters were like they were hoping I'd make a mistake. constantly chasing after me and refusing to let go. I thought I had long since gotten used to flashbulbs, but actually I hadn't. One day, while we were taking a family portrait, I heard a snap, and then I just fainted on the spot. Anyway, that's how it ended up becoming like this. So what I want to say is, I hope you can live a little more easily too. It was the first time she had seen Tae-Sip smile like that. She hadn't expected that he, too, had his own unspoken hardships. After the meal, Min Jae-young got up to say goodbye. There's a video meeting tomorrow morning, so I'll come back again at 8. Tae-Sip glanced at the time. It was already 3 in the morning. There were only a few hours left before work. Wait, he called out to Kang Min-kyung. Tilting his head, he invited her, saying, "Why don't you sleep here tonight?" His older brother had just fallen in love for the first time. His younger sister wished she could announce it to the whole world, but the domineering CEO was so innocent, he was like a complete rookie. He only dared to flirt in his imagination. "Do you have any other instructions?"
No.
Only then did he come back to his senses. Coming back to himself, he said, it's nothing really. You should go back now." The little secretary had only just left, and he immediately clutched his head in agony. Had he damaged his brain when he fainted earlier? The next day, he was still yawning, but the little secretary showed up right on time. She must have been very tired too, yet it didn't show on her face at all. Yesterday, he had said a whole bunch of irrelevant things. That was completely unlike his usual self. Could it be that because he was feeling so unwell, he had become this sentimental? The meeting ended. Considering his physical condition, Min Jae-young postponed all of his scheduled appointments. Then his younger sister suddenly came. "What are you here for?" "My brother is in the hospital. Of course I had to come see him." "Tae-Sip, you're in big trouble. Mom and Dad have already gone to City B to buy tonic medicine for you." Tae-Sip collapsed on the spot. Not again. He absolutely refused to drink tonic medicine. His younger sister suddenly turned to Min Jae-young. "You must be Director Kang Min-kyung, right? I've seen you before. You got first place at the company assembly. That was really amazing." His older brother immediately issued an order to leave. "Tae-Soo-jin, if you're done, then hurry up and go. Stop saying weird things." His sister mysteriously pulled him aside. "I'm here to help you. You lunatic. What are you even going to help me with? How about I just tell her directly?" Without waiting for her brother to agree, she rushed toward Min Jae-young. "Let's go buy a cup of coffee together." "Director Kang, you must have been really startled yesterday, right?" "Yes, I didn't expect the executive director to suddenly faint. Actually, it wouldn't be strange no matter when he fainted. All this time, I've never seen my brother truly rest at ease. When my father was still very young, he had hoped to become the most perfect heir. My father is very ambitious, but compared to his ambition, his ability falls far short. So grandfather gave up on him very early, until my brother was born. Father wanted to use him to secure his own position in TK. In order not to disappoint those expectations, my brother always gave everything his all, desperately trying to do every single thing perfectly. But when my brother was 20, Kang Jun appeared. The one who is now Tae-jun. You've probably heard the rumors about him, right?" Min Jae-young had heard a little as well. Back then, the youngest daughter of the TK group fell in love with a volleyball player. She ran away from home, and then 20 years later news came of her death, leaving behind only one child. Grandfather brought him back when he had nowhere else to go. To Tae-Sip, who had always believed he was the sole heir, it was like a bolt from the blue. In order not to be outdone by brother Jun-sip, he practically wagered all of his youth and kept pushing himself desperately. Because not long ago, father made a mistake. As a result, half of the company's power shifted to brother Jun-sip. So my brother probably began to waver too. And on top of that, before he had even rested for a few days, he was called back to work again. So he must be under enormous pressure. Seeing that Min Jae-young had begun to feel sympathy. "Director Kang, actually, having you by my brother's side really gives me a lot of peace of mind. So, may I call you older sister?" Seeing Min Jae-young nod, she immediately became even more enthusiastic. "My brother is really so pitiful, but what on earth should we do? My brother is an idiot. He doesn't even know how to relax when he takes time off." "Older sister, what should I do so that my brother can rest peacefully?" Kang Min-kyung had absolutely no resistance to a girl's tears. And just like that, she fell for Tae-Soo-jin's trick. She agreed to help Tae-Sip relax. When they got into the car heading to City J, Tae-Sip originally did not want to go. But after Min Jae-young persuaded him for a while, he obediently shut his mouth, though his face was still full of tsundere stubbornness. What's there to do? Wouldn't just sleeping for a few days be enough? That's what he said, but his expression had already betrayed him. The little secretary looked at him with eyes full of pity. It seemed she really had been pushing him too hard before. And so, an unexpected trip began. The moment his palm touched hers, even the heaviest rain could not extinguish his fluttering heart. This trip with the little secretary also made him fall completely. Since her school days, she had always served as the arts committee member, and she had even been the club president. So his younger sister entrusted this trip to her. She planned to choose the kind of guest house that could heal the soul in nature. A spacious and bright guest room for Tae-Sip. The only drawback was that he had to share the same room with driver Kim. If someone was beside him, he couldn't sleep. Meanwhile, on his sister's side, she had also started making a move on the little secretary. "We finally managed to come on vacation, so there has to be at least a little atmosphere, right?" Driver Kim began urging them. Ladies, aren't you ready yet? His sister answered right away. Tae-ri-sip looked up, and before his eyes was a Kong Min-kyung completely different from usual. She awkwardly tugged at the hem of her skirt, looking somewhat shy. That sight struck Tae-ri-sip right in the heart. Wait, why are you all dressed up so elaborately? Of course we have to dress like we're on vacation. His sister pulled him aside. Brother, Min Jae-yun's figure is way too good. Stop saying weird things like that all the time. The moment they stepped outside, his sister started playing wingwoman like crazy. Driver Kim and I are going to buy some things. You two just go look around. See if there's anywhere fun nearby. Min Jae-young looked at Tae-ri-sip. Then I'll take a walk around nearby. Then let's go together. When Min Jae-young was little, there had also been a mountain like this near her house. As they walked, she talked about amusing things from the past. One of them was looking at the scenery, while the other was looking at her in the scenery. Look over there. The wild raspberries have ripened. She casually picked one and popped it into her mouth. Can you eat that? Let me try. Of course you can. It's sweet and sour and really delicious. You should try one too. He stared blankly at Min Jae-young's fingertips, slightly parted his lips, and the raspberry was placed into his mouth. Just like that. After only a few chews, the sourness exploded in his mouth. So sour. Looks like the one you ate wasn't ripe yet. Want to try this one instead? In the crystal clear stream, a string of splashes burst up. Tae-ri-sip showed Min Jae-young how he could skip stones. The girl turned back from among the flowers and called out to him, telling him to hurry up and catch up. She even picked a little flower and braided a ring for him. In the past 10 years, she had never seen Tae-ri-sip wear an expression like this. It seemed he was genuinely happy. What you told me before about living a little more easily, I think it seems like you should relax a little too. Tae-ri-sip pressed his lips together. That's true. I really have never come out to play like this before. That's great then. But the sky in April is like a child's face. It changes whenever it wants. The sky that had been clear just a moment ago suddenly poured with heavy rain. Tae-ri-sip shouted for Min Jae-young to hurry back. But the mountain path was simply too slippery. It was hard enough for him, let alone for the little secretary wearing a skirt. He warned her to be careful, because the road was slippery. Min Jae-young answered, but walked with extreme difficulty. The skirt was tight and easily rode up. As she held onto the rocks, she also had to carefully keep hold of her skirt hem. Tae-ri-sip watched her anxiously. Even his fingertips trembled slightly. The moment Min Jae-young lost her footing again, he grabbed her at once. The girl looked utterly surprised. Looking at her, Tae-ri-sip said, "Take my hand." Min Jae-young answered with thanks, then held his hand back. Even though the rain falling on him was icy cold, his whole body was burning hot. This is really driving me crazy. Why did a sudden shower have to start right now of all times? The Tsundere Chaebol young master had somehow turned into an innocent little puppy. At the slightest touch, he would blush and his heart would race. Every part of him was confessing how much he liked her. But his mouth was so clumsy that he couldn't even say one complete sentence properly. Because of the heavy rain, the two of them hid in a bus stop. The girl was soaked through and shivering uncontrollably from the cold. Seeing that, he took off his own shirt, wringing it out hard, shaking off the excess water. He draped it over the girl's shoulders. Assistant manager Kim will be here soon. Just make do like this for now. But executive director, you look even colder than I do. Are you alright? The hand Min Jae-young reached out instantly made him panic. I'm fine. I just ran over here, so I'm a little hot. But your face is so red. Wait a second. She raised her hand and placed it on Tae-ri-sip's forehead. You seem to have a fever. When her cool fingers touched his burning skin, his whole body gave a slight shiver. I'm fine. You really can't catch a cold. After saying that, she moved to take off the shirt and return it to him. Tae-ri-sip's heart pounded violently. He was so nervous, he almost felt like throwing up. His sister arrived just in time. How did you both get this soaked? Hurry and get in the car, because they had bought far too many things. Min Jae-young had no choice but to squeeze together with Tae-ri-sip in the seat. Every time the car went over a speed bump, their legs lightly brushed against each other. His face turned red again. Even his fists clenched unconsciously. Only Min Jae-young remained the same as usual, chatting and laughing with his sister. From the moment they returned to the guest house, Tae-ri-sip's gaze seemed glued to her. She looked no different from usual, but in his eyes, she seemed to be glowing. The man who was normally arrogant and flamboyant now seemed like a mute bottle gourd, unable to insert even half a sentence into the girl's conversation. Kong Min-kyung, how could she make him care this much? He stood alone in the yard looking at the night sky, then lowered his head. In his palm was the ring the girl had braided for him from flowers during the day, and he had actually kept it until now. Unable to bear throwing it away. Executive director, so you're here. He instantly hid the flower. I was just wondering where you had gone. Why did you come out here alone? I came out to get some air. The two sat down and drank lightly under the moon. I'm really happy today. When I was always busy with work before, I never realized it, but after coming out to have fun, I discovered that I used to be constantly running forward desperately and hardly ever resting properly. I see. Tae-ri-sip's mood sank. You used to live with so much passion. I've held you back. That's not it, executive director. Actually, I've been smart since I was little. No matter what it was, I always did it well. So even though my family circumstances were poor, and I had to start working immediately after graduating from university, at that time I still thought that as long as I worked hard, it would be enough. Tae-ri-sip smiled. Yes, in fact, you really have always done very well. So from now on, I'll continue assisting you properly too, until the day you sit in TK's highest position. I will stay by your side the whole time. Tae-ri-sip's emotions were like a roller coaster because of one sentence from her. One moment, he flew into the clouds, and the next he fell back into the valley. Then I'll be counting on you. At that moment, Min Jae-young's phone rang. It was a call from Hyun-sung. The harmonious atmosphere was interrupted. Sorry, I need to take this. The little secretary walked indoors, and fragments of her voice drifted into his ears. It's nothing. Everything's already been resolved. Hello. Well, right now, I'm at work. I came with coworkers from the company to attend a seminar. Tae-ri-sip, who had just been immersed in happiness, was drenched the next second as if someone had thrown a basin of ice water straight at him. Under the cool moonlight, all that was left was the can on the table, crushed out of shape in his grip. He clearly could have conquered the world with just his face. Yet in secret love, he lost in a complete and utter defeat. He could have pursued her properly, but instead, he insisted on walking farther and farther down the road of self-destruction. For the little secretary, the former Tae-ri-sip had returned, hiding indifference beneath a gentle mask, wrapping sharp sarcasm in a soft voice. No matter how rigorous and appropriate his manners and conduct were, they could not conceal that arrogance found only in someone long accustomed to a position of power. This was the true crown prince of TK. Tae-ri-sip strode forward in big steps, while Min Jae-young followed behind him, reporting his schedule all the way. After returning from the trip, it was as if he had completely become a different person. He was several times colder than before. Had all of that just been her dream? No. It was that Tae-ri-sip had always been this kind of person. He returned to his busy schedule, but his heart felt as if something were clogged inside. And the reason for all of this was the woman right in front of him, executive director. The junior secretary suddenly spoke up. It startled him, and he guiltily lowered his head. He had almost been caught stealing glances at her. At work, she was always impeccably thorough. She really worked hard. Even those things where they just work to her too? Since you like doing it so much, I'll let you do all you want. He began constantly giving the junior secretary more tasks. But no matter when it was, or how difficult they were, even when they were sent back again and again for revisions, her expression never changed. Even over the past week, when the work had piled up like a mountain, she had never shown the slightest sign of wavering. He knew Kong Min-kyung had always been like this, but he was still irritated out of his mind. A knock sounded at the door. Executive director, I prepared dinner for you. Mushroom rice and malt drink from Restaurant F. It was a restaurant he often went to. As expected, she did everything perfectly, but Tae-ri-sip only took one bite, then put down his spoon. This is what you like, right? You eat it. Also, I don't like malt drink. I thought you might not like it, so I prepared another dinner as well. It was abalone porridge specially ordered from Hotel L. Tae-ri-sip was about to go mad, but not because he disliked it, quite the opposite. It was precisely because it was so delicious that it made him even angrier. After work was over, Tae-ri-sip walked out of the office and saw something that shocked him. Why are you eating that? Didn't you just tell me to take it and eat it? He had only said it casually. Even so, there was no need for you to. Do you still want it? I can order another serving for you. No, I'm full already. Are you deliberately sitting here, eating it for me to see? No, because there's too much work and I wanted to save time. He suddenly became awkward. I already ate from that. Doesn't that bother you at all? Are you referring to the spoon? You don't need to worry. Kong Min-kyung was really driving him insane. He grabbed the cup on the table and downed it in one gulp. The junior secretary panicked. That's what I was drinking. The drink dripped from the corner of Tae-ri-sip's mouth, and he pulled out a tissue, glancing at her with a childish expression. Wasn't this mine to begin with? You still want to drink it? Then I'll buy you another cup. But I'm getting off work now. With that, he raised his hand and pointed at the screen. Finish organizing the PPT properly. Tae-ri-sip bent down and whispered in her ear, in a voice only the two of them could hear. Well then, I'll leave you to it. This time, Kong Min-kyung did not reply, but the fists she clenched tightly said everything. And Tae-ri-sip, who walked out, couldn't help but laugh before the automatic door had even fully closed. It was the first time he had seen Kong Min-kyung lose control. She must be really angry, right? Her face had already turned that red. Seeing Kong Min-kyung looking wronged and shaken actually made him this happy. This was far too entertaining. Personally bringing his romantic rival into the company made Tae-ri-sip regret it so much he wanted to slap himself. He was so jealous he was about to go insane. The man stood up and began introducing himself. His name was Min Ji-hoo, the managing attorney of MP law firm. Today's main event had arrived. Hello, I'm Lee Hyun-sung, an attorney from MP. He was the older brother Kong Min-kyung was close to. No matter how much he disliked it, this guy was going to start working at TK from today onward. As the acquisition plan got underway, a TF task force was established. What made Tae-ri-sip feel most devastated was that the MP law firm Lee Hyun-sung belonged to was personally chosen by him. After the vacation ended, what followed immediately was a sudden increase in workload. Kang Min-kyung not only had to handle secretarial duties, but also assist the TF team, which often left her so busy that she lost track of time. And recently, Tae-ri-sip kept playing petty little mind games with her. How childish. Did she look like someone who couldn't even handle tricks like that?
Hey.
She was Kang Min-kyung. But over the past few days, Tae-ri-sip had become irritable to the extreme. The junior secretary had looked very tired lately, and he began reflecting on whether he had gone too far.
No.
He was her boss. Assigning work was only natural, wasn't it? What exactly was he thinking about? As he kept thinking, he started looking for the junior secretary again. She wasn't at her desk, and everywhere there were towering stacks of documents, a messy desk that hadn't been tidied, and food only half eaten. Each thing seemed to lash at Tae-ri-sip's heart. Had she not even eaten properly? If she was having a hard time, she should have told him. When Tae-ri-sip suddenly appeared, all the team leaders were taken by surprise. What brings you here? I was just passing by. Every one of his subordinates was praising Kang Min-kyung's excellence. I didn't expect her to handle things this quickly. Your secretary is really amazing. Is there anything she can't do? Yes, my secretary is indeed very capable. So then, where's my secretary, Director Kang, right now? The moment he heard she was with the TF team, Tae-ri-sip turned around immediately. Why was she there again? Just as he reached the doorway, he saw a sight that drove him crazy. Did they really have to work pressed that close together? As the door was pushed open, the room instantly fell silent. Kang Min-kyung, you seem very busy. I had just finished sending over the materials when, sensing that the atmosphere was off, Min-ji, who stepped forward. Secretary Kang has given us a lot of help, and we're truly very grateful to her. I was the one who first requested the materials from the secretary's office, and Secretary Kang gave us a truly perfect report. Director Kang is indeed extremely outstanding, but she probably doesn't have time to do this kind of work, does she? Have the overseas construction materials been sorted out? And how is the National Power Plant project progressing? With her head lowered, Min Jae-young began her report. The detailed report will have to wait until 3 this afternoon. That sentence made Tae-ri-sip very dissatisfied. He walked straight up to Hyun-sung. A report like this should have been completed by you in the first place, shouldn't it? After all, I hired you for exactly this kind of work. Or is the secretary to the executive director of TK Trading someone you happen to know personally? I sincerely apologize. It was my oversight, and it caused inconvenience to your work. After asserting his claim in front of his romantic rival, he turned his gaze back to the junior secretary. Why are you still standing there? Come out at once. Before closing the door, he suddenly turned back again. Well then, everyone, keep up the good work. I hope you all perform well. Don't keep making my secretary clean up after you. It sounded like he was speaking to everyone, but Tae-ri-sip's gaze remained fixed the whole time on Lee Hyun-sung, whose expression had turned cold. To attract the girl he liked, he drank an entire bottle of sparkling water in one go, and even deliberately wiped the bottle mouth, just to watch her reaction. All because not long ago, Tae-jun had told him that his girlfriend said the way he drank water, like that looked sexy. Back then, he had found that kind of behavior disgusting, but now he was childishly copying it. Lately, Kang Min-kyung felt even more exhausted. After the seminar ended, Tae-ri-sip seemed to have completely switched into workaholic mode, and she suffered along with him. Still, this was better than loafing around doing nothing. Not only had she missed lunch today, even the convenience store's ready-made food was sold out. She began looking for a high-calorie substitute. It was chocolate she liked, and luckily it happened to be on sale. Then Tae-ri-sip suddenly appeared. What are you doing here? He casually took the bag from Min Jae-young's hand, then turned around and paid for it. Then he invited her. The weather is so nice. Let's sit outside for a while. He twisted open the sparkling water in his hand, and under Min Jae-young's puzzled gaze, tilted his head back and gulped it down. Kang Min-kyung simply watched him like that, without moving her eyes away for even a moment. From Tae-ri-sip's lips as he drank, her gaze slowly slid down to the Adam's apple in his throat, moving up and down as he swallowed. Water slipped down along the mouth of the bottle, and he raised his hand to wipe the droplets from his lips, only then realizing that the junior secretary had been staring at him the whole time. That made him start overthinking again. Could it be that what Tae-jun said was true? Had Kang Min-kyung really been attracted by his charm? He suddenly felt a little nervous. When I used to see other people drink water like this, I always thought it looked so tacky, but when I tried it myself, it actually felt pretty refreshing. But not only did the junior secretary remain expressionless, the very next second, she turned and landed him a heavy blow. Are you having digestive problems? No. Sure enough, that guy Tae-jun had fooled him again. Looking at the chocolate Min Jae-young had opened, he suddenly remembered something. Oh right, this is the chocolate you really liked back when you were at the training institute, isn't it? You actually still remember that. She took out another piece and handed it to Tae-ri-sip. The man smiled awkwardly. Yeah, I remember that very clearly. Back then, Min Jae-young had shared some with him too, saying that because it had lots of nuts and was cost-effective, it was her favorite snack. Seeing that, just like before, she still liked the same things. Tae-ri-sip felt as if he had been suddenly pulled back into the past. Even the chocolate became exceptionally sweet, and his lips and teeth were coated with sticky caramel. He secretly glanced at the girl beside him. His mouth was sweet, but his heart was turning sour. Whether it started from back then or continued until now, it turned out he had been the only one silently watching Kang Min-kyung all along. The moment he took off her clothes, he finally understood why that man had been angry when he helped the girl back to the hotel room. Even though she had been leaning against him the whole way, he had not taken one extra look. She was truly far too drunk, and he didn't want to take advantage of her, especially when Min Jae-young trusted him that much. As soon as the door opened, she kicked off her shoes, and he followed behind her, worrying himself sick. Be careful, don't fall. But the girl seemed not to hear him at all, only happily looking around. Hyun-sung averted his gaze and happened to look to the side, not even knowing himself what he was thinking.
Appa.
The girl turned back to look for him again. I can't undo this button, so help me, please. Just how much did you drink? Min Jae-young simply stood there, waiting for him to undo her buttons one by one. The instant he took off her trench coat, Hyun-sung froze. So there had been signs all along. Why had Tae-ri-sip put his own clothes over her? And why had he repeatedly stopped them from leaving? The moment he thought of that, his anger flared up sharply. That guy had seen it too.
Hey.
Kang Min-kyung, honestly, your alcohol tolerance is this bad, so why did you drink so much? Do you have any idea how dangerous it is for you to be like this in front of a man? But the girl turned around without caring in the least. So what? You're my brother. She did not even properly close the bathroom door. Sometimes, this kind of complete, unguarded trust feels even more cruel because he had never been seen as a man. Irritated and helpless, Hyun-sung raised a hand to cover his face. I'm dangerous too. When he got off work, he happened to run into Min Jae-young, and the two of them went to eat together. On the way back, after taking the girl home, he thought of this part of the past again. For all these years, he had long since grown used to taking care of this younger sister. When they were children, they caught longhorn beetles and chased butterflies together, picked wildflowers, and wove them into rings. He watched the girl grow up little by little, and the two of them became as close as real siblings. Even when they reached university, and he had to go fulfill his military service, he only smiled and told the girl to wait for him to come back. Exactly when did this feeling slowly start to change into something else? Hyun-sung quietly listened to Min Jae-young complain, and every time she said something, he comforted her with a reply. But Min Jae-young suddenly began to apologize. I didn't expect the executive director to get that angry over what happened last time. Those tasks are usually done by me anyway, but in the end you got dragged into it too. Hyun-sung smiled faintly. When it comes down to it, I really was the one in the wrong. Earlier today, the executive director suddenly asked about our relationship, so I just told him the truth. But it seems I said something wrong. He looked like he was in an especially bad mood. Maybe he misunderstood and thought I was helping you because we're close. But even so, there was no need for him to get that angry, right? Could something have happened at the hotel that day? Hyun-sung deliberately avoided the important part. It doesn't seem like anything special happened. Then why on earth was he like that? Maybe it's just because Executive Director Tae's personality is a bit awkward to begin with. That's true. Not long ago, he was childish enough to sulk over food. He didn't like this. He didn't like that either. Hyun-sung listened like this to Min Jae-young. Mention another man in front of him again and again. Without realizing it, he tightened his grip on the steering wheel. Tae-ri-sip was truly unpleasant to look at. He racked his brains trying to win the girl's favor. Yet, because the other party answered a call from another man, he dragged her back to work overtime with him. Even though he was worth billions and had an unbelievably handsome face, it still couldn't make up for that absurdly foolish and off-putting behavior. The little secretary had made plans for dinner, and she had heard there was a restaurant nearby with especially delicious yurinki. Appa, I'll treat you. Before she could finish speaking, she heard someone rushing toward her at full speed. The person who came was Tae-ri-sip, looking very serious. Executive Director, hadn't you already gotten off work? I was getting ready to come back and work overtime. Didn't I tell you? I have to coordinate the trade and energy project, and I also need to adjust tomorrow's schedule. As he spoke, his gaze drifted toward the little secretary's phone, and the call on her side had not ended yet. Min Jae-young could only apologize helplessly, but the man had an expression of satisfaction on his face. What a coincidence. Looks like you already made plans to have dinner with that op of yours. He started deliberately provoking the little secretary again. What should we do? If you already have plans, then go ahead and leave first. Just give me the materials. Min Jae-young silently clenched her fists. That isn't finished yet, right? Then leave the organizing to me. I'll stay and work overtime by myself. Unable to listen any longer, Min Jae-young slammed her palm on the table. Executive Director, how could I leave you here by yourself? Tae-ri-sip gave an awkward smile. When he returned to his office, his whole face looked like everything was over. He really was hopeless. We need to pause here for a moment and turn the clock back half an hour. He had seen clearly just how hard the little secretary had been working lately. So he activated the full power of his lifelong single brain and came up with a perfect plan. At least that was what he thought. When passing by her office after work, he would ask her to order something delicious for him, then pretend he had something urgent to do, leave the dinner for her, and walk away coolly. If he did that, she would definitely be touched beyond words. But in reality, what he did would only make the little secretary want his life even more. Why did she have to make dinner plans with that guy of all days? He had originally wanted to take care of her, but instead it turned into making her work overtime. So she would definitely be angry, right? No, as long as he bought her something tasty, she would calm down. The childish Tae-ri-sip thus began his feeding plan, never expecting that the moment he pushed open the door, what he saw would be a face full of utter despair. He lost his nerve on the spot, and even his chest tightened, but he still handed over the written ordering request. Kang Min Jaeyoung mechanically took it, and before he could even speak, she started frantically pressing the phone buttons. He had originally wanted her to order 2 portions so they could eat together, but in this kind of atmosphere, it was obvious without thinking that she would refuse. Then should he just order a bigger portion instead? They could share it. He had only just been about to speak when the little secretary had already hung up the phone and suddenly stood up. "Executive Director, I'm going to eat too. I'll be back before the food is delivered, and I'll bring your meal over for you." Once again, he had ruined everything. After a long time, the little secretary brought dinner back. Tae-ri-sip was still working. "There are several places here where the documents don't match." After saying that, he left his seat, pulled out a chair, and gestured for her to sit down. The two of them began checking the documents together. The aroma of the food blended into the sound of the keyboard clicking away. Min Jaeyoung also completely entered work mode. Tae-ri-sip looked at her profile. "What did you eat? Why do you look even hungrier? Was it a chocolate bar again?" "Here, this is the risotto I ordered earlier." Tae-ri-sip poked the salad with his fork. "You eat that, but this is your dinner." "I suddenly don't want to eat it anymore." Min Jaeyoung thought he simply wasn't used to the food and was just about to help him order another serving. But Tae-ri-sip finally couldn't keep pretending anymore. His entire face turned red with embarrassment, and he looked like he was about to lose his mind. "Just eat that." Min Jaeyoung suddenly caught the scent of his perfume, and for some reason, it made her a little dizzy, so she instinctively held her breath. The man kept talking beside her. "This should taste better than Yurinki. You know I've always been picky." Min Jaeyoung answered softly. "It's very good." But in truth, she couldn't taste the food at all because she was too aware of the person beside her and too aware of that perfume that made her dizzy. Being in love with your boss while receiving overtime pay did sound rather romantic, but to the little secretary, no matter how handsome her boss might be, if he made her work overtime, then he was still a dog. But her best friend felt something was off. Could it be that he deliberately kept you there to work overtime because he wanted to eat with you? Have you been watching too many dramas? That's impossible. And besides, the executive director personally said he dislikes me. From the very first day at the training institute, he's been picking on me for no reason the whole time. Maybe today, he just suddenly felt a bit apologetic. The brother and sister both turned to look at her. "What about you? How exactly do you feel about him? Have you already been attracted to him?" What surfaced in her mind were memories related to Tae-ri-sip, his lips, his eyes, his brows, and that gaze that made her heartbeat spin out of control. She couldn't keep thinking about it. She forcibly suppressed that feeling that made her heart race. To be honest, he really is handsome, and he's exactly your type, isn't he? I also want to work with a boss who looks like an idol. If that were the case, maybe I really would fall in love with going to work. Min Jaeyoung looked utterly disgusted. "It's not like that. A handsome boss is no different from a dog. Here's a little Shiba Inu. Isn't it cute? But if it doesn't behave, it's still cute at that moment too, right? If it barks at you the moment it sees you, maybe you can still accept it. But what if you had to take care of this dog for 10 hours a day?" That's what Tae-ri-sip feels like to me. If it really gets too exhausting, of course I could apply for a transfer to another department, but I also have my own pride. If I back down before giving it everything I have, that's not my style. One day, I'll make Tae-ri-sip acknowledge my ability. It was already very late, and Hyun-sung was getting ready to leave. Min Jaeyoung said she had eaten a bit too much, so she suggested walking him out and taking a walk on the way. The two of them chatted as they walked. "It's already been a month since I came back to Korea. Is it that fast? Time really passes too quickly." "Exactly. It feels like the image of us going to school together is still stuck in yesterday, but now we're working together again. Don't you think that's nice too? We can even meet during breaks. Even the group work feels just like before." Hyun-sung suddenly stopped walking. "Back then, there really were so many things I had to teach you. But now, it feels like a lot has changed." When Min Jaeyoung was in university, because she was especially young and had entered as the top student, she was quite famous on campus. But she hardly had any friends. Hyun-sung would always take the initiative to go find her. Whenever the two of them were together, she only liked discussing studies with him. To her, studying itself was a kind of joy. And Hyun-sung, who had many friends, was someone Min Jaeyoung had always admired. Back then, in his eyes, Min Jaeyoung was only a younger sister, until one day, his girlfriend got into an argument with him because of Min Jaeyoung. For the first time, the man realized that the younger sister he had watched grow up was actually also a woman. No. It should be said that from the time he was discharged from the military, when he saw that girl again, he already had this feeling. The girl was holding a bouquet, and her shy appearance was completely different from the younger sister she had once been. She had suddenly grown taller, and her figure had become slender and graceful. She had taken off those thick glasses, and she even had admirers now, so she could be shy too. you? Hyun Sung looked at the girl in disbelief. He couldn't take his eyes off her for even a second, but she also seemed the same as before, still that same younger sister, until she suddenly started dating. When Hyun Sung saw all of this for the first time, he felt as if the sky had fallen. Clearly, before he enlisted, he had even told his ex-girlfriend that he only saw Min Jae-young as a younger sister. At that time, he had been completely self-righteous and had only thought his girlfriend was making trouble for no reason. And the crack left behind back then eventually collapsed completely in an unexpected way. Hyun Sung came to his younger sister's apartment again, but he did not see Min Jae-young. It turned out she had just gone through a breakup. After he knocked and opened the door, he walked into the room. "Min Jae-young, are you okay?" The girl said through tears that he didn't like me anymore and said I was boring, that he couldn't feel any sense of being in love. Hyun Sung gently patted her back to comfort her. The girl sobbed and cried. "I did everything I promised him. We clearly said we'd go on a date after we got through being busy. I don't know why he suddenly wanted to break up with me. I really did try so hard." Min Jae-young must be feeling so sad. "Appa, am I really that strange? I'm not like a girl at all, and I'm not charming in the slightest. I want to be like ordinary people too." Hyun Sung told himself that Min Jae-young still didn't understand love, but ever since they were very young, he had always stood in front of her waiting for her, and he had taught her many things too. Then why couldn't it be him? Couldn't he be the one to treat Min Jae-young that way? Before him was a girl with a face full of confusion. Her voice suddenly pulled Hyun Sung back to his senses. What exactly was he doing? Hyun Sung turned around. "It's not like that. You really don't need to take those words to heart." Had he gone crazy? In the end, that crack rapidly widened at a terrifying speed, so fast that even he himself didn't know how to deal with it. So Hyun Sung ran away, and now he wanted to bury this feeling deep in his heart, to be a good older brother, and stay by her side, forever like family. But why did he always want more? In order to get her brother married off as soon as possible, the younger sister was practically worried sick. Today her brother was dressed up even more carefully than usual. The younger sister smiled like a proud auntie. "You look a little handsome today." Could it be that he was going on a date? The man guiltily brushed his hair. "I'm going to a meeting." The younger sister deliberately dragged out her tone. "A meeting? Huh? Are things going smoothly between you and Sister Min Jae-young? That's enough from you. I didn't even ask anything." "Well, have the two of you made any other progress?" Tae-ri-sip held back again and again. "Stop saying weird things like that. What's wrong with it? If a man and a woman spend every day together, isn't it normal if they start liking each other?" Unexpectedly, the man really got angry. "That's enough. I already told you to stop saying that." Tae-ri-sip was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. "I'm not interested in her. We only have a working relationship. Do you think a man and a woman will definitely start dating just because they spend time together?" The younger sister froze on the spot. "If not, then not. Why are you getting so angry? Isn't it because you keep saying weird things?" "I was only joking." "Joking? That's very disrespectful to Director Kong. If she knew her boss was making jokes like that behind her back, how uncomfortable would she feel?" Meanwhile, Min Jae-young was getting along very well chatting with his sibling's mother. Madam had personally invited this little secretary. She wanted to personally express her thanks to her. Madam Lee Seon-ae, vice chairwoman of TK Group, is a perfectionist who absolutely does not allow mistakes. But in contrast to that strong personality, she dotes very much on Tae-ri-sip. Ever since Min Jae-young became his accompanying secretary, Tae-ri-sip had returned to how he used to be. She was truly very grateful to Min Jae-young. In a mother's eyes, her child is always perfect. So as long as he acted spoiled, she would always soften, and that also caused Tae-ri-sip to develop a habit of being picky with food from a young age. Listening to stories about Tae-ri-sip's childhood, Min Jae-young only felt that he was exactly the same as he is now. Madam suddenly became serious. "Actually, I ask you here today for another reason. As TK's heir, he cannot be allowed to have any weakness." So Tae-ri-sip's father concealed the fact that he faints. 35 years ago, the second daughter of K Group, Tae-rae-hee, shocked the entire nation by running away from her marriage. This matter did not end there. The person who was originally supposed to marry Tae-rae, he was Lee Seon-ae's older brother. But Lee Seon-ae never expected that in the end she herself would become the substitute, and her parents demanded that she marry Tae-rae-woo, who was Tae-ri-sip's father. And at that time, having just graduated from university, she had no power to resist any of it. Her dreams were thus completely crushed before they could even sprout. And the consequence of a business marriage was that the two of them had no emotional foundation at all. Her husband openly dated other people every day. Everyone kept persuading her that if she endured it, it would pass. Until one day, her husband realized that Ri-sip was different from him. A brilliant mind and an outstanding face, enough to carry his ambitions. From that day on, the father's ambition and the mother's expectations both weighed heavily on this young child. Even now, she still remembers the way Ri-sip held her and said, "Mom, you don't need to worry," because Tae-ri-sip hid his vulnerable side too deeply. Even if something really was wrong with him, it would be hard to notice. So today, She wanted to ask Min Jae-young for one favor. Footsteps came from the stairs. It was a brother and sister. Tae Ri-sip looked at Min Jae-young. She was still the same as always, but seeing her at home felt different somehow. He suppressed the flutter in his heart, casually greeted them, and then went to greet his mother as she approached. Ever since she started preparing herbal tonics for him, Tae Ri-sip had been flirting with her all the time, to the point that she started to imagine that maybe he really liked her. With just one so cute from the domineering boss, both of them were startled. The listener could hardly believe it, and the speaker hurriedly made an excuse to smooth things over. I mean, this cup is really cute. Could it be that this cup became so cute only because people praised it every day? The little secretary's expression changed instantly. What kind of look is that? You don't seriously think I was calling you cute, do you? Do you like Poro too? What? This is my first time meeting someone else who likes it too. Min Jae-young almost fell for him right then. Ri-sip answered that's right with his mouth, but inwardly worried whether that was the right answer. In the end, the little secretary really believed him. What is this? A gift for you. The domineering boss picked up the pen and even pressed the little onion on top of it. The invincible Tae Ri-sip was actually cheered up by nothing more than a pen. Min Jae-young had worked with him for 10 years, and this man was not only good at hiding himself behind a smile, but was also completely impossible to read. He could pinpoint the other party's weak spot with a single remark, fully control the pace of negotiations, and never let anyone get away with tricks right under his nose. So there was a reason Executive Director Kim had always had such a high success rate after all. He set the targets this low. This isn't some little shop at the entrance of an apartment complex. What is MS's percentage right now? Do I even have to tell you something as basic as that? In her eyes, Tae Ri-sip was a born businessman, and yet this very person who inspired fear in his subordinates took out that onion pen when signing documents, like a child who had just gotten a new toy and couldn't wait to show it off to friends. Aside from that, he was still that sharp-tongued and cutting crown prince. Good medicine tastes bitter, but cures the illness. So all of you should drink this bitter medicine properly and stay healthy if you want to keep living. Only after leaving did they finally breathe a sigh of relief. How did the executive director spot the problem in such a short time? That instinct is way too terrifying. I thought he had stopped caring about the company, but it turns out he's still the same as before. A Tae Ri-sip like that. If someone said he was afraid of taking medicine, probably no one would believe it. The little secretary deliberately imitated the way he talked. They say good medicine tastes bitter, but cures the illness. The domineering boss began to beg for mercy. He really did not want to drink it. Tae Ri-sip always wore a mask and only showed people the side of himself he wanted them to see. And yet, someone like him would actually sulk with her like a childish little boy. Faced with someone who clearly resisted so strongly, but still obediently listened in the end, how could Min Jae-young's heart possibly remain calm? From the very beginning, he had always seemed radiant in her eyes. No, rather, in everyone's eyes, he was that kind of person. Someone touched her shoulder, and the moment Min Jae-young turned her head, her cheek was poked. Before she could even react, the culprit had already gone far away. His actions always made her misunderstand. Whenever Tae Ri-sip was like this, childishly complaining to her or deliberately teasing her, and when he smiled like that, it always made her feel as if she were someone special to him. Someone ran toward her from the distance. Min Jae-young was not wearing her glasses, so she narrowed her eyes slightly. That person ran closer and closer toward her, and his outline gradually became clear. It was a smile that no one could help but be moved by. Just like now, she seemed to be misunderstanding again, thinking that she might be someone special to him. He had had a crush on a girl for 10 years, carefully hiding those feelings in the bottom of his heart, for so long that even he himself thought he had already let them go. But when she returned to his side, once again, those feelings instantly burst forth, like a flood breaking through a dam, just so he could see the person he liked on his day off. Tae Ri-sip was even willing to do things like run every day just for a chance encounter with her. I'd been calling you from over there the whole time. Sorry, I was wearing earphones, so I didn't hear you. He lifted his head, unable to suppress the joy on his face. It's okay. I didn't expect to see you here either. I'm really happy. Tae Ri-sip began actively looking for a topic. Your home is around here too? Then you live really close to me. Though he looked calm on the surface, inside, he was almost going crazy with happiness. But how come we've never run into each other before? I've been jogging here almost every day lately. I've been too tired lately, so I haven't been exercising. He felt a wave of embarrassment, because wasn't he himself the culprit? Do you exercise here often? I've only recently started to like it. When I want to clear my mind, there's no better choice than running by the river. Min Jae-young said in surprise. That's so amazing. I also like coming to the riverside to run at times like that. Tae Ri-sip said what a coincidence. But inside, he was absolutely thrilled. Then what were you thinking about while you were running today? The little secretary froze for a moment. There was no way she could say that she had just been thinking about him. What did you think about the proposal I submitted to you last time? That sentence was like a bucket of cold water, instantly bringing Tae Ri-sip back to reality. To calm Min Kyung, he was the executive director. Probably nothing could be worse than running into your boss on your day off. He began to back off, afraid that the girl would dislike him even more. Manager Kong, I'll be going now. Have a nice weekend. 10 years ago, they had been colleagues who joined at the same time, but now they were executive director and secretary. If he were not Tae Ri-sip, if they were just ordinary co-workers, What then? Would they perhaps be able to get a little closer? Would I be able to approach you more naturally? If I were not your boss? No. As long as you were not my secretary. Just as Tae-ri-sip was repeatedly thinking about their relationship, the lawyer who had come with Hyun-sung suddenly announced that he was getting married and to his first love from his school days. It was romance at the highest level. The older man beside them grabbed Hyun-sung, assistant manager Kim. Our lawyer Lee is pretty great too, right? Want me to set you two up? The other party looked shocked. Isn't he dating manager Kong? The two people whose names were mentioned immediately denied it. But didn't you know each other from a long time ago? You really look very close. It was all a misunderstanding. Lawyer Lee has just always been very nice to me. Then why aren't you together? You look so well matched. Min Jae-young looked troubled. It's not like that, we're more like family. Isn't being like family even better? Speaking as someone with experience, when you get married, you should find someone you're comfortable with. Only women chase after men. A woman should be with a man who treats her like a princess if she wants to be happy. Kang Min-kyung, aren't you supposed to be smart? Hyun-sung suddenly spoke up. What are you doing? You're making manager Kong very uncomfortable. What? Do you think manager Kong isn't good enough? She just doesn't usually dress up, but she's actually very beautiful. Hyun-sung still had a smile on his face, but his tone had already turned cold. You know this kind of behavior counts as workplace bullying these days, right? The older man awkwardly tried to smooth things over. I was only joking. After lunch, Min Jae-young and Hyun-sung chatted casually. It seemed that at their age, they really were not that young anymore, and even Hyun-sung's mother kept urging him to go on blind dates. But both of them were in the rising phase of their careers and simply had no time for romance. Suddenly, a commotion broke out nearby. Look over there. It's executive director Tae-ri-sip. Min Jae-young looked over in the direction of the voices, and it was him. He was always that dazzling, so she could notice him at a glance. What Min Jae-young did not know, however, was that Tae-ri-sip could also always spot her at first sight. Even in a crowd, faced with his romantic rival's provocation, Tae-ri-sip finally grew anxious. He brushed past the little secretary and turned to look at those two people, but he was soon called back again by the business partner. Min Jae-young looked at his back as he left, not knowing what she was thinking. Hyun-sung put his hand on her shoulder. What are you spacing out for? Let's go too. Only then did Min Jae-young come back to her senses, and she did not know that after the two of them turned away, Tae-ri-sip looked back at her once more, as if on purpose. Hyun-sung suddenly leaned in close to her. Tae-ri-sip's eyes widened abruptly. The two of them seemed to be saying something and looked exceptionally intimate. Hyun-sung's gaze suddenly swept toward him, and Tae-ri-sip immediately had a bad feeling. Sure enough, the next second he smiled. That smile was full of provocation, and then he disappeared into the crowd just like that. The clothes were flung hard onto the sofa. Tae-ri-sip angrily yanked off his tie and cursed out of control. That son of a bitch. What the hell is he? How dare he put his arm around Kang Min-kyung like that? Just a close older brother? Don't make me laugh. She actually believed that bastard's words? Kang Min-kyung, are you an idiot? No, wait, could they really be in that kind of relationship now? It was the same before at the hotel. Just as Tae-ri-sip's thoughts were getting worse and worse, someone knocked on the door, and of all times, the little secretary came in to report his schedule. He never lifted his head, and Min Jae-young reported tasks and notices as usual, but he could not take in a single word. Just as the report was about to end, he finally spoke. Although whether you two are dating has nothing to do with me at the company, you still need to keep business and private matters separate. He suddenly stood up, and the little secretary looked utterly confused. What are you talking about? Are you pretending not to understand? Huh? The other party is a lawyer sent by a trusted aide of the executive director in charge of products. If you're in that kind of relationship with him, what will other people think? You misunderstand, executive director. He and I are just blinded by jealousy. Tae-ri-sip began speaking without restraint. A very close older brother? You think I'd believe that? You even went back to the hotel room together. Anyone who saw that would misunderstand. Min Jae-young stopped explaining and looked at him quietly. Tae-ri-sip began to regret it, covering his face. He was just about to apologize. What I said just now wasn't, but he was interrupted. Executive director, I understand. She returned to her usual self again. I'll be more careful in the future. Seiya came back from a business trip and brought a gift for Min Jae-young. One look was enough to tell it was very expensive. And just as Min Jae-young was about to refuse, Seiya had already put it on her. I think this suits you perfectly. Look, isn't it beautiful? So it turned out that Seiya had noticed how hard things had been for her lately and wanted her to relax a little. In Min Jae-young's mind, Tae-ri-sip's figure appeared. Seiya noticed it keenly. What's wrong with you? Nothing. Min Jae-young, I hope you can think about things more simply. Are you, by any chance, trying to do well in front of the executive director? Of course, he's the executive director. That's not what I mean. I mean in that kind of way between a man and a woman. What are you talking about? He's the executive director. So, what if he's the executive director? Don't you have feelings for him? He's so handsome, and he's always moving around in front of me every day, so it's only normal for my heart to flutter. But if I put it that way, then wouldn't all the women in our company be supposed to like him too? But I don't like him. She said she hated him, but her expression had already betrayed her. It was a look mixed with anger and grievance. From the first time I saw him, I thought this person was really unpleasant to look at. I would never like a man like him. He was the most handsome person the girl had ever seen, so perfect that it made people want to please him, without even realizing it. A figure taller than everyone else, a gentle voice, graceful manners. He was practically like a prince who had stepped out of a fairy tale. Min Jae-young remembered what her mother had once told her, to always smile at others. The boy responded and gave a light nod. The person opposite him smiled even more brightly, and he suddenly found himself unable to handle it. That pure and burning gaze made him shyly turn his eyes away. That cold and ruthless Tae-ri sip, 10 years ago, could actually blush so easily too. After getting her food, Min Jae-young began to look for an empty table. Tae-ri sip saw her wandering nearby and took the initiative to invite her over. But he merely poked at the food on his plate, looking like he had no appetite, and from time to time he coughed lightly. Are you having an allergic reaction? I don't think so. Why? You don't look very well. Is your neck or anywhere else itchy? She actually noticed. Would Kang Min-kyung do this for other team members too? No, I'm very healthy. How did this fried fish cutlet manage to control the oil so well? It was hardly greasy at all. You should try a bite too. He lowered his head to look at the fish cutlet on his plate, and though he really had not had much appetite, after hearing her say that, he suddenly wanted to try it. He squeezed a few drops of lemon on it to remove the fishy taste, and under Min Jae-young's expectant gaze, he took a bite. It actually tasted pretty good. That gave her a feeling of satisfaction, as if feeding him had succeeded. Tae-ri sip had just been about to say something, but Min Jae-young was called away by a boy nearby, who asked her about the morning assignment. Watching the girl answer patiently, he realized that she was not only gentle to him, and that discovery made him a little unhappy. Soon it was time for the group talent presentation, and top-ranked Min Jae-young and second-ranked Ri sip just happened to be assigned to the same group. Top-ranked Min Jae-young and second-ranked Ri sip happened to be assigned to the same group. The girl was full of drive in order to win first place. She was taking it way too seriously. But for Min Jae-young, since it was a competition, then of course they had to take first place. Before filming, they first had to decide on the male lead. As a result, many people recommended Tae-ri sip. He's so handsome, of course he should play it. But at this moment, Min Jae-young had a different opinion. When she was drawing the dance movement diagrams, the person she had in mind was Choi Sung-young, because he practiced judo, so lifting movements would definitely be easy for him. Tae-ri sip was furious. I have enough strength for that too. Oh, dear, you don't need to force yourself. Even if you don't play the male lead, we can still win first place anyway. Those words instead stirred up Tae-ri sip's competitive spirit. After the lifting move was completed successfully, he looked at Min Jae-young as if his tail were about to stick straight up into the sky. Well, did you see that? You're really amazing. With just that simple praise, he became happy again. Then let's decide on Tae-ri sip and Song Eun-ju as the leads. The girl turned around and immediately began discussing it with the others. She did it again. Tae-ri sip once more felt ignored. So this time he was really angry. Min Jae-young was completely baffled. What exactly had she done wrong? When she looked at Tae-ri sip, he immediately turned his head away. That made her start feeling upset too. He was smiling at everyone else. So why was he suddenly treating only her like this? Tae-ri sip suddenly sat up in bed. He had actually dreamed about the little secretary and had even been smashed awake by her. The second activity at the training institute, he had actually been assigned to the same group as Kang Min-kyung again, which was really irritating. Why did he keep getting tangled up with her? The two of them started disagreeing from the moment they were choosing paper. To Min Jae-young, any paper was fine. Tae-ri sip was dissatisfied. Have you ever folded a paper airplane before? Although I haven't folded many, I can infer the airplane structure most favorable for flight. This was the crushing superiority of a top student. Just listening to the girl talk about all that knowledge related to mechanics made him feel like his ears were about to explode, and he could not understand any of it at all, so he could only nod along awkwardly. Min Jae-young thought she had already persuaded him, and that Tae-ri sip had given up arguing. Forget it. Let's start with folding paper airplanes first. A third-generation Chaebol is actually obsessed with origami. Which style do you want to fold? An interceptor, a stealth plane, or a twin-body plane, a realistic jet, or a high-speed plane? Now it was Min Jae-young's turn to be dumbfounded. The two of them were completely not on the same wavelength. Team member Kang Min-kyung, why do you have to be so serious about everything you do? This is just a friendship match. Min Jae-young's real target was actually the first-place prize, but to a Chaebol young master, wouldn't that just be clearance stock ready to be discarded? In the end, Tae-ri sip completely lost control. I think I finally understand team member Kang Min-kyung's ambition. To fight this hard just to take first place. No wonder you became TK's chief and entered the company. It seems I'll have to be more vigilant from now on because someone like you who likes standing in first place might also be coveting the top position at TK. Wait, why would you think that? That leap in logic is way too fast, isn't it? I've always been the type to do whatever I want. That's a secret no one else knows. But I didn't expect you to discover it. The girl was completely bewitched by his face, so innocent that she actually believed him. I'll keep your secret for you. He admitted defeat, but Min Jae-young started to care. She edged closer to him gently. Tae-ri-sip. Seeing the girl suddenly move closer, he instinctively looked away. Don't worry, you don't look like that kind of person at all. You seem especially rational. So what you're saying is that I look cold and indifferent? You're very gentle and very polite. Huh. Then doesn't that make me perfect? Min Jae-young suddenly felt like she was no longer able to handle him. At that moment, the other party had already finished folding the paper airplane. He turned to look at her. Why aren't you saying anything? Looking at his face. Fine, she admitted it. Yes, you really are very perfect. Tae-ri-sip's feelings were complicated. It was that look again. That expression seemed to say that, to her, someone like me simply doesn't matter. Once again, he tasted the sting of wounded pride and just wanted to run away. However, things did not go as he wished, because his dance partner sprained her ankle. In the end, the person he had to lift became Min Jae-young. Tae-ri-sip began looking for a way out for himself. How about we switch to something simpler? Could it be that you find it difficult? Me? When have I ever found anything difficult? After all, my build is different from Song Eun-ju's, so it would be normal if you felt burdened. Sorry, I didn't think it through carefully enough. No. Your size is nothing to me at all. Tae-ri-sip was tricked into a pit once again. The moment he stepped onto the stage, he finally realized that he had fallen for it. He had actually fallen for such a low-level provocation. She's got to be around 170 centimeters tall, right? Could she be heavy? But if he backed out now, it was already too late. Forget it. He stretched out his hands and lifted Min Jae-young up. What shocked him was how much easier it was than he had imagined. Was she really this small and this light? And also, he looked at the girl stretching her body in midair, and his gaze happened to meet what was directly above. His hand holding the girl's hand suddenly slipped, and his clothes were tugged sharply as well. This is just too. Tae-ri-sip woke up from the dream like that. A pure-hearted man with a playboy face, who had kept his chastity for 30 years, had his defenses broken by a little secretary. He fastened his shirt with trembling hands. When facing Min Jae-young, he was so embarrassed that he didn't even dare look at her. He must be crazy. He had actually dreamed about Kang Min-kyung. In the midst of melodious music, Tae-ri-sip began consoling himself. He must just have been too tired lately, which was why he had momentarily lost his mind. Otherwise, how could he make a bespectacled bookworm in team uniform his dream object? But honestly, she really was very pretty, and that was all. The man immediately slapped himself across the face. What on earth was wrong with him? He was Tae-ri-sip. Ever since debuting as an idol, so many ill-intentioned people had approached him. In the face of all kinds of malicious temptation, he had never once wavered. So why had he dreamed specifically about Kang Min-kyung, who had absolutely no interest in him? He was tall, handsome, and rich, with no shortcomings at all. Tae-ri-sip turned the beauty filter up to the maximum, trying to regain his confidence. Forget it. Don't think about it too badly. This is just a normal phenomenon. Any healthy man would have this kind of dream. There was absolutely no need to blame himself. He was a man, after all, listening to music that purified the soul. Tae-ri-sip gradually calmed down. He was not only tall, rich, and handsome, but also so healthy. Too impressive, really. Although the weather had turned cooler lately, the sunshine was still warm. He started to feel sleepy. Good morning, executive director. And then the person from his dream arrived. Tae-ri-sip, who had just calmed down, instantly lost his composure again. What is with that outfit you're wearing? Because the heater is on, it's a bit hot. Turn it off immediately. If you're cold, put on more clothes. Why turn on the heater? But executive director, aren't you very sensitive to the cold? Carbon reduction. From smartphones, TVs, semiconductors to electronic industries such as smartphones and TVs, our company has become an environmentally friendly enterprise starting this year. Min Jae-young snapped the heater off. Even so, Tae-ri-sip still drove her out. Until I call you, don't appear in front of me. Faced with such a moody superior, Min Jae-young really couldn't hold back her cursing anymore. Young looked puzzled. Hadn't he already settled down? Why is he starting again? Even Hyun-sung was speechless. He really couldn't tell that he was this kind of weirdo. Watching him act refined in front of me, lowering his voice and pretending to be profound, just makes me want to hit him hard. Young laughed. Looks like you really were angered. It's my first time seeing you curse. Our Min Jae-young has worked hard. What's the big deal about working hard? Let him keep going. I'm not going to be knocked down by this. Hyun-sung put away his smile. Min Jae-young, don't force yourself to endure this for some so-called pride. You've worked at TK for 10 years and become the youngest department head, yet you're being treated like that and still have to keep working under him. Does that make any sense? Even if he is Tae-ri-sip, the crown prince of TK, that's in the past. If you're worried he'll disadvantage you in personnel matters, I'll help you with the legal side. No, it hasn't reached that point. I'm sorry, I didn't say this to make you worry. I truly can't understand it. Tae-ri-sip is not that outstanding. As for what happened at the resort this time, Min Jae-young interrupted him. Appa, stop talking. What? Stop talking. Executive director is just a pitiful person. The first time he ever took the initiative to touch the little secretary, it was to beg her to leave him. There were financial fraud issues at Bayong Resort, even if that was done by the vice chairman. Tae-ri-sip did not know about it, but everyone still pointed their spears at him. Min Jae-young received a message from Tae-ri-sip early in the morning. After she made her way through the crowd of protesters and entered the company, she found that the executive director was staring downstairs without even turning his head back. "Explain it to me." Min Jae-young reported every issue. Tae-ri-sip's tone carried disappointment that was hard to conceal. "So you knew everything? Then why didn't you report it to me in advance?" "I thought M's scale hadn't reached the level that required the executive director's personal approval yet, so I didn't make a separate report." "Yes, you've always been like this. Like a parasite in my stomach, you know everything. What did Song Baekji say to you? That as long as you did this, they would promote you to senior management? Too bad, you picked the wrong side." Min Jae-young anxiously wanted to deny it. Or was it because of your younger siblings? Did you choose to sacrifice yourself for your family?" Looking at Min Jae-young's flustered expression, "It seems you thought I didn't know. You really are naive. I was only pretending not to know. And that includes this matter too. This is how I've lived my whole life, so I understand my own situation better than anyone. Like you, I also devoted my entire life to the company. As for everything here, of course I know it better than you do. My position right now is to clean up the trash left behind by my father. And you two became my secretary only because someone got hold of your weakness, forced to clean up that trash." Looking at the tears in his eyes, Min Jae-young unconsciously reached out a hand toward him, but just as her hand lifted, he grabbed it hard. "Is it fun to play me in the palm of your hand? This is my business. Why do you always have to meddle?" Seeing Min Jae-young wince in pain, he realized what he had done. Even now, Tae-ri-sip still didn't know how to deal with these feelings. "Director Kong, apply for a transfer. Please, I absolutely won't let you suffer any losses." So he paused for a moment, and in the end, with difficulty, forced out the words, "Why did you have to become my secretary? Please, get out of my sight." Min Jae-young stood there silently. "Executive director?" Suddenly, she shouted, "Please pull yourself together. What you should be thinking about right now is how to solve the problem, not saying such cowardly things. Do you know how much effort you have put in for TK? Not a single employee is unaware of it. That is why when Chairman Tae-ri-woo caused major losses, you were still able to hold your ground without wavering. I have always felt honored to be your secretary. So are you really going to give up all the effort you've made so far so easily? Wouldn't that be such a waste? And besides, I don't want a stain left on my own career either. As everyone knows, ever since I entered TK, no matter how difficult the project was, I have never once failed to get an S. In any case, executive director, you don't need to worry." Tae-ri-sip, who had just been immersed in sadness, suddenly began to tremble in the shoulders. Then a low laugh followed. This was the real Kong Min-kyung, TK's secret weapon. "So all you need to do is give the order. Do as you please." Even now, Tae-ri-sip still stubbornly believed that, to Kong Min-kyung, all of this was nothing more than work. But even now, he still harbored different expectations for Min Jae-young. He looked at the sleeping face of the little secretary and whispered softly, "Kong Min-kyung, you little fool." The affection filling his eyes and the love swelling endlessly in his heart seemed as if they could no longer be suppressed. To make up for the mistake caused by the vice chairman, they had no choice but to unite as one. Tae-ri-sip took full responsibility. He chose to meet the other party's representative in person. Under his leadership, TK Trading, despite opposition from management and despite the impact of the falling stock price, paid an enormous sum just to fulfill the contract. During those days, the two of them practically treated the office as their home. Watching Min Jae-young's busy figure, he suddenly grew a little curious. "Why did you come to work at TK?" "Because TK offers the highest annual salary in the industry." "Why are you suddenly asking that?" "Sometimes I feel it's a waste for someone like you to be just a company employee. Don't most people want to become doctors or lawyers? You could also choose to continue your studies abroad. If it were you, you'd definitely get a scholarship." To be honest, I know myself that I'm different from others. When Min Jae-young had just entered school, she had already mastered everything in the textbooks. To her, going to school was empty and boring. Since childhood, she had never encountered a problem that could truly stump her. But her younger brothers were different. Her parents had once wanted her brothers to give up sports and send her to continue her studies instead, but she chose to work because to her, she could do anything. But for her brothers, sports were their only path. And there was no need to become some great figure. Compared to that, she preferred ordinary happiness. Looking at Min Jae-young like this, Tae-ri-sip sighed in admiration. "You're so cool. All this time, I always thought I had to become someone truly remarkable. You're already remarkable, director." "Oh, stop joking with me." "How could I joke with you? There you go again, always flattering me." But every word she said came from the heart. Someone once described him like this: "Tae-ri-sip of the TK group is the most beautiful flower of Song Baekji." In truth, that kind of statement was contempt and mockery towards someone who had never experienced hardship or setbacks. He was a high mountain flower blooming on a splendid pedestal. Perhaps for his entire life, Tae-ri-sip would have to desperately prove himself amid that kind of prejudice. Before he knew it, he had fallen asleep. When he woke up, it was already past 1. Even Min Jae-young had fallen asleep with her head resting down. He walked over, wanting to wake the girl. Wake up, go home, and sleep. Tae-ri-sip's expression became somewhat complicated, and then he suddenly smiled. He reached out a hand and gently waved it in front of the girl. She really was sleeping soundly. Affection swelled little by little in the bottom of his heart, and what followed was his sudden desire to touch her. Once certain thoughts are born, they begin to crave more. In the end, Tae-ri-sip still moved closer. He had already endured it to the point of nearly going mad. Facing the diligent little secretary, his head was filled with nothing but indecent thoughts. Not only did they torment him every single day, they were also becoming more and more outrageous. Work came crashing down like a snowstorm, taking over their entire winter. For once, they had managed to finish the day's schedule early, but it seemed Min Jae-young's mind still contained nothing but work. The list related to the resort's financial fraud is out. How should we handle it? And I'll arrange the related meetings as soon as possible. He had thought things were mostly resolved after the last meeting, but he had not expected there was still such a long road ahead. I work overtime every day, trying to minimize the losses as much as possible, but the financial statements are still a complete mess. Seeing that Tae-ri-sip looked somewhat discouraged, Min Jae-young immediately added, "Director, there's good news. TK Trading's reputation ranking has now returned to first place because you handled things so quickly." Tae-ri-sip felt a little ashamed. He had only set things back on the right track that should have been there from the start. The version of himself who had stood by and done nothing before. Did he really deserve such praise? Although this was something that should have been obvious. Not just anyone could do it. Of course you deserve it, Director. Don't worry, from now on only good things will happen. Tae-ri-sip looked calm on the surface, but inside, he was about to explode. In front of such a loyal and capable employee, all he could think about every day was sleeping with her. You trash. Because they had been spending every waking moment together lately, he had become even more certain of one thing. Not only did Min Jae-young work like a machine, fast and precise, she also had astonishing stamina. Combined with a will of iron, she was basically a monster. At this point, even if someone said she was a robot secretly developed by TK, he would believe it. And yet, tragically, he had fallen for that very robot. After preserving his chastity for 34 years, the first person he fell for was a woman who seemed like a different species. Even more painful was the nightmare that clung to him every night. No matter how he struggled, no matter how much he regretted it, he could not escape those yellowed fantasies. The themes became more and more varied, and the details more and more vivid. Now he was even starting to fear going to sleep. The endless overtime and nightmares had left him seriously sleep-deprived. Although he had also thought about just ending everything quickly, if it really ended, then this, too, would end with it. It's already so late. Director, should we order dinner? It can't end like this. It absolutely can't end like this. He suddenly stood up. This director will treat you to something good. So this is that famous restaurant? The atmosphere is even better than I imagined, right? Other than the risotto, the other dishes are good too. The little secretary began ordering. He stared at the little secretary without blinking. To think he would come to a place like this with Kang Min-kyung. This feeling was practically like being on a date. For the first time, he felt that even working overtime could be this blissful, even if it never ended. Working overtime every single day, going to work together even on weekends, watching movies together. The amusement park would work too, as long as he found an investment project. Wait. Tae-ri-sip suddenly had an epiphany. Was he an idiot? The little secretary looked at him in confusion. What do you do on weekends? Why keep working overtime? Wouldn't it be enough for them to just go on a date directly? The overbearing CEO missed the little secretary day and night, and even wanted to monopolize her on weekends. Finally, he opened his mouth and proposed a date. Under Tae-ri-sip's expectant gaze, Min Jae-young gave her answer. Of course I go back to Gongju on weekends. What, princess? In Korean, Gongju and princess are pronounced the same. Min Jae-young said with a grin. Of course you go home for the new year. Tae-ri-sip's first attack. It failed before it even properly began. The sky in the countryside really was much bluer than in the city. This familiar air mixed with the smell of cow dung and fresh grass actually didn't feel bad at all. Kong family buckwheat noodles. Seeing the newly hung banner on the signboard, she felt a little helpless. Honestly, her mother. This was Min Jae-young's home. Kong Min-jun. What on earth is this thing you wrapped? Her mother was scolding her troublesome younger brother. Oh, right. Hyun-sung's family came too. Her younger brother announced excitedly, Mom, sis, we're about to make the national team. Because after receiving sponsorship, their results had improved a lot. Those days of hiding in corners and training while watching other people's expressions were finally over. Now they could even train at a dedicated speed skating rink. But her mother was not so optimistic. I heard the sports university and TK had a falling out because they were dissatisfied with the sponsorship from TK Electronics. Oh my, Min Jae-young's mother. Do you think sponsorship depends only on performance? These days, looks matter too. Your twins are so handsome. That's true. They got their looks from their father. I was fooled by that face back then too. But no matter how I think about it, it still feels strange. The sponsorship came through far too smoothly. Min Jae-young, did you do something behind the scenes? What nonsense are you thinking? Sponsorship is decided by the company. What could I possibly do? You're not just any ordinary employee. you're TK's best employee. How could an employee possibly influence a company's sponsorship decisions? At last, her mother quieted down. Labor issues were piling up more and more. Even on the weekend, the two of them still had to work overtime. Tae-ri-sip suddenly called. The little secretary got up to answer. Hyun-sung noticed that her expression was different from usual. That made him pause slightly in surprise. Hyung, did you check the installment section of the business transfer contract? I checked it. What? He said it's already been resolved? Min Jae-young suddenly became agitated. Why are you suddenly doing this? Hey, no, director. The other side had already hung up. Min Jae-young, if I'm just overreacting, then just take it as me joking. Are you and Director Tae-ri-sip really just coworkers?
What do you mean by that?
At that moment, Hyun-sung's mother appeared. Oh my, Min Jae-young. What kind of company makes you work during the holidays? No, it's just that I want to work. No matter what, it's still a holiday. Stop working and come peel fruit with us. Mom, Min Jae-young is busy right now. Give it to me, I'll do it. Hyun-sung took the apron and tied it on. His mother followed after him, chattering all the way. At night, watching her busy mother, Min Jae-young said, Mom, I'll clean up over there. No need. Once you finish your work, just get some rest early.
She rolled her shoulders.
I couldn't cook with you all, so at the very least I should help you clean up. I said there's no need. Honestly, you child. Looking at her daughter, her mother revealed a pained expression. You actually don't have to get married. Mom is just afraid that you... Her voice began to tremble. Afraid that the way you're living now is all for your younger brothers. Min Jae-young had sacrificed too much for this family. She had always known. She had always known. The truth was, you were too sensible. So sensible it made people's hearts ache. You should live a life that belongs to you too. Min Jae-young hugged her mother. I'm living well, Mom. Don't you know your daughter? I'm Kong Min-kyung, the eldest daughter of the Kong family. But Mom doesn't want you to live as someone's wife or someone's mother. Don't worry, Mom. Your daughter doesn't even have a boyfriend right now. You really are Mom's pride. The little secretary suddenly threw her arms around the overbearing CEO, only to be dragged into the storage room by him instead. Just a moment earlier, Min Jae-young had still been helping out at her mother's shop. She had never expected that the moment the customer opened his mouth, she would freeze on the spot. Even though he was covered up so thoroughly, she recognized him at a glance. That guilty look in his eyes, those trembling hands, were completely different from the Tae-ri-sip of the past. That's right, it's exactly like you're thinking. After hearing on the phone that Min Jae-young was with Hyun-sung, Tae-ri-sip got so angry that he hung up on the spot. After going through the 5 stages of anger, all that remained in the end was helpless acceptance. Then while scrolling on his phone, he found that buckwheat noodle shop that anyone could tell was Min Jae-young's family home. He sprang upright and began thinking about the possibility of going to find the little secretary. But no matter how you looked at it, during such a major holiday, showing up directly at someone's house was way too much. But he missed Kong Min-kyung far too much. And besides, those buckwheat noodles really did look delicious. After struggling with himself over and over again, he still ended up showing up here and kept telling himself, I'm just here to eat buckwheat noodles. So when Min Jae-young caught him red-handed, he still righteously claimed that he just happened to be passing by. What a coincidence for you, coming all the way to Gongju. And dressed like this during the holidays too? At first, Tae-ri-sip still tried to come up with excuses, but later he simply gave up in self-destruction. What does that have to do with you? I came here for business and just stopped by for a bowl of noodles. How can you drive a customer out? Director, noodles are not okay. You should go somewhere else.
No.
You should go somewhere else.
Why?
Can I come to a shop run by my employees' parents to eat a bowl of buckwheat noodles and say hello while I'm at it? Of course not. If her parents found out that this was her devil boss, then he'd be completely finished. Tae-ri-sip refused to accept it. This shop had accepted sponsorship from TK. He walked toward the shop entrance. Starting today, add one more banner that says, a shop visited by TK's Tae-ri-sip. Min Jae-young suddenly wrapped her arms around Tae-ri-sip's waist. Tae-ri-sip's face turned bright red in an instant.
Min Jae-young?
Hyun-sung suddenly came out. By the time he turned his head, the two of them had already disappeared.